Okay, guys, here we go once again. Guess who's back in the news? Old Mike Bloomberg, our favorite anti-gun asswipe next to George Soros, of course. And let's see what to say. Bloomberg's anti-gun grassroots movement explained, and this is by the NRA, Institute for Legal, for Legislative Action, I should say. Okay, does Michael Bloomberg's Everytown for Gun Safety really have 2 million members? Nope. I doubt he has. I doubt if this guy has two friends, let alone 2 million members. Uh, Basically, probably the only friends he has are the ones who have their heads stuck up his ass because he's a stinking rich billionaire. But other than that, I highly doubt it. Anyways, is Moms Demand Action really a powerful grassroots movement network of moms? No, of course, the titles are always deceiving. Uh, they're designed to con people into believing that this is you know, the average mom who just don't like guns, and nothing's farther from the truth. In fact, more and more women are taking concealed weapons training classes these days to protect themselves from rape, from home invasions, and because they're home alone with their kids a lot of times, and they do want to defend themselves. And this is the case especially in states like Texas, Florida, um, even in California, anti-gun California. You'd be surprised how many people are getting their concealed weapons permits. But anyways, let's move on. So is Moms Demand Action really a powerful grassroots network of moms? No, they're not. Or are they just front groups that consider a handful of Bloomberg's that consist of a handful of Bloomberg's hirelings, pretending to represent more people than they really do, to trick Americans into submitting to their fanatically obsessed employer's will? Investigative reporter Cheryl Atkinson may have the answer. In Top 10 Astroturfers, Atkinson explains the phenomenon in which small groups of individuals pretend to be popular grassroots movements in order to convince other people to join the fake crowd supporting or opposing a particular agenda. The article follows a very informative speech on the same subject given by Atkinson at the University of Nevada recently. Atkinson explains AstroTurf is when political, corporate, or special interests disguise themselves and publish blogs, start Facebook or Twitter accounts, publish ads and letters to the editor, or simply post comments online to try to fool you into thinking an independent or grassroots movement is speaking. And of course, we do see this on Twitter quite a bit. Uh, Trying to make a handful of people basically being paid to sit there all day and tweet a bunch of anti-gun propaganda on behalf of Bloomberg's groups. Uh, so yeah, we've seen this all over Facebook and Twitter, the blogs, and actually, the old Obama supporters, because Bloomberg's right in there with Obama and Holder pushing this agenda. But anyways, let's get back to the article. The whole point of AstroTurf is try to give the impression that there's a widespread support for something, for or against an agenda when there's not. AstroTurf seeks to manipulate you into changing your opinion by making you feel as if you're an outlier when you're not. And this is the whole mob mentality of the anti-gun movement, is to corner somebody on Twitter who's very pro-gun and try to demonize them and make them feel as if they're the minority. Uh, and this is their favorite tactic, trying to make people believe that gun ownership and people who own guns are the minority in the country, when in fact they are the majority. In fact, America is the number one country in the world as far as gun ownership goes. Uh, so there you have it. And of course, contrary to a lot of anti-gun disinformation, even though America's number one in gun ownership, they're number 28 listed in the world in violent crime. So there you can check out the stats. And this is from a report done by Ben Swan on Reality Check. And you can look that up on YouTube. And they'll even confirm what I'm saying here. But anyways, let's get back to the article, because I keep getting off track here. Anyways, that sounds like a deception of President Obama's attempt to promote gun control during his 2013 State of the Union address and Bloomberg's subsequent claim that 90% of Americans support mandatory background checks on private transfers of firearms, which is complete, utter frickin' bullshit. Okay? Not even close. The 90%, they always use these fake bullshit statistics to try and con people into believing that this is a widely supported agenda. And of course, Obama's always using the same set of bullshit statistics to try and push his case. As they say, Obama claimed overwhelming majorities of Americans, and they always love to use that phrase when they're spewing their bullshit. Americans who believe in the Second Amendment have come together around common sense reform. That's another one of their catchphrases they love to use. Common sense reform. Okay, there's nothing common sense about it, because criminals will never follow any such reforms that they're trying to claim they're making, like background checks. Criminals cannot own firearms by law. They do not submit to background checks because they do not buy their firearms legally. They get them off the streets through the underground gun trade, gun smuggling. And of course, Obama and Holder would know all about that, since they were the ones involved in the Fast and Furious operation, in which they were smuggling guns across the border to Mexican drug cartels. At least it was their operation. I believe it was a DHS or one of their federal departments was doing this on their behalf. And this was, of course, to try to blame the guns and blame the gun manufacturers for all the murders occurring by the Mexican drug cartels across the border. And their logic, I guess, at the time was, if we can trace these guns back to the American gun shops, their agenda was of course twofold: to blame the guns, to blame the gun manufacturers, and to try to shut down the gun shops where the guns were originated from the manufacturer and dealers, of course. So this was a really deceitful operation, to which Holder and Obama have yet to answer to in a criminal court of law. They should be charged. Obama should be indicted, impeached for these crimes, as should Holder. And you have to ask your Republican representatives why to this date they have not. But anyways, let's get back to the article. In reality, however, the Senate rejected all those schemes, and the House of Representatives refused to bring them to the floor for a vote in regards to these proposals in Obama's anti-gun legislation. In Washington, which is far more receptive to gun control than many states, and of course this is the case because Washington, D.C. has always been very anti-gun, which is why Dick Heller, a resident of D.C., who wanted to keep a handgun in his home for self-defense, had to take it before the Supreme Court in order to squash Washington, D.C.'s handgun ban, which was totally unconstitutional, as the Supreme Court ruled. You have a right to keep and bear arms, and that right shall not be infringed. And this is what the Supreme Court ruled, that it's an inalienable right which government cannot infringe upon. It's an individual right. Okay? Anyways, Bloomberg spent millions in support of a background check initiative and only got 59% of the vote, and I highly doubt it was that high. The good news is that when some people, at least, apparently can recognize astroturfing when they see it, Atkinson's informal survey of social media users put Bloomberg's anti-gun front groups at the top of the list of astroturfers, followed not far behind by several other anti-gun entities, namely Media Matters, Mother Jones, Salon.com, Daily Kos, and, of course, the Huffington Post. Between them, those outfits might have enough anti-gunners to field a team for a game of Sandlot baseball. Yeah, basically a handful. But in the age of the internet, they are able to pose as speakers to or on behalf of millions of Americans. Yeah, which of course you see them on Twitter trying to believe and trying to demonize gun owners and make them believe that, their groups represent millions of Americans, which is the farthest thing from the truth. I would highly doubt they have thousands, let alone millions. Until their deceit is understood by all Americans, they pose a significant threat in the public debate over rights versus restrictions and freedom versus fear. And this is, of course, because they use the mainstream media to push their propaganda. Obama, of course, has total control. The government has total control over these mainstream media networks because they're all owned by the same anti-gun billionaires like Bloomberg and George Soros and all the rest who try and control and try and tell you what to think. Okay. And I can go on and on about that, but that's a whole other topic. But anyways, they use the same anti-gun media networks like CNN, MSNBC, and all the usual liberal anti-gun networks to try and push their propaganda. And we've seen this time and time and time again over, the past few decades. For anyone who's followed this debate for a long time as I have, you've seen the same old propaganda over and over and over again. And what I find hilarious is these same asswipes who want to take your guns away are the same ones who usually have the concealed carry weapons permits themselves, like Senator Dianne Feinstein, who had a concealed carry permit, and this was in the news not long ago, that she had a concealed carry permit and a firearm registered in her name. And of course, Bloomberg never travels without his entourage of armed bodyguards. So all these guys are, your typical hypocritical anti-gun asswipes. As is many celebrities as well. I mean, that's a whole other topic in itself as well. All the anti-gun celebrities you see on television claiming that they're the very anti-gun are the same asswipes you see in these action movies using firearms to profit from ticket sales in the movies. So I say practice what you preach. Don't be a hypocritical asswipe. You're either for guns or you're against them. But don't use them on the screen and then pretend you're against them. I should say, don't use them on the screen and then claim you're against them when you're off the screen. Okay? Because that's ridiculous. As we scroll down the page here, you see the BATF, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, which is a federal agency, of course. And, of course, they're towing the Obama anti-gun line, and they're trying to ban the AR-15 ammunition. And that's going to blow up in their face as well, because the Supreme Court ruled in the Heller decision that ammunition is just as much part of arms as a handgun, rifle, or anything else. So, again, shall not be infringed comes into play, and this is going to fall totally right apart on them. So, but anyways, that's it, folks. Check it out for yourself. Do the research, and have a great day.